Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, the beginnings of science, the Mun Mission. That's right, today's mission, in episode 5, we are going to Mun, or at least try to, and return. Our craft we'll be using is the Mun Science Lander. And here it is. This is what will take us there, land, gather science, and return. Now, I've added lights on there mainly so we can see as we land, if it's kind of dark on the ground. We also, one other thing you'll notice is right here, we have a temperature gauge, so that we can gather science as we're going. So let's go ahead and get this mission underway. Go ahead and lock in T. We will throttle up. And in 3, 2, 1, go. Now I'll do a video showing how I built just the lander portion of this in a future update, but I decided that I'd build it off screen for now just to save on time on the video, because the last video was over 30 minutes long and that was quite long even in my opinion. You'll also notice in here we have 2 reaction wheels. We have one here and one here. Mainly that's to control this section here as we start to do our gravity assist turn. And drop those. Oops, a little too early for the gravity assist turn. And start turning to our 45 ever so slowly. And hopefully this is by far the largest rocket I've made for this series. Now in coming episodes there's going to be a lot of unmanned missions, but we will be taking the Mun lander, or Mun Science Lander, and going to Minmus at some point. I have a feeling that that lander can get there and back very easily from the test I have done with it. We'll get ourselves up into a relatively high orbit this time. And let's go ahead and... Oops, we don't want to decouple. Go ahead and turn on the display. Now I did use do a little bit of off camera science stuff, mainly just to get the episode up. They were just missions around Kerbin to get some extra science to unlock a few things for my original idea. Okay. We'll just turn... Oops, we blew up something. And I think we're okay. Go ahead and set a maneuver. (105) and 102. 102, 105. Close enough. Let's go ahead and tip ourselves. We'll turn on some lights so that way we can... Now, one thing I always try to remember to tell people, turn off the lights when you're on the dark side of the planet. See, right now I'm getting sunlight on the craft. And at about 1 minute, we'll go ahead and fire up the engines. I think that's a little early, but that's what it's telling me to fire. And now we'll start our long burn. As you can tell, I've only got one parachute on this craft, and that's because all the science that I acquire is actually going to go back inside the capsule. That means the only real thing that's going to come back is just this portion here. Now, my original idea was to use the science lab and actually have it travel to other points of Mun and grab as much science as I possibly could before returning back to Kerbin. The problem with this idea was that I did not have enough of a setup so that the gear that I was going to use would be able to roll it. So maybe in another mission we'll actually set up a rover design like that. Because with the science lab, you can actually do science and clean the experiment and reuse it again. Whereas right now I can only use them once and then they're useless. Let's see here. Let's keep firing. Keep firing, keep firing, keep firing. And stop. We'll call that a good orbit. It's a little on the high side, but we're in orbit. Okay. So we'll set that as our target. And let's go ahead and do a correction on this. Go ahead and set this and bring it down right there. A 6-second burn in order to correct our relative inclination to Mun. Now what this does is that we'll leave here at the equator and we'll arrive at Mun at the equator. With those reaction wheels, it also makes spinning the craft so much more easy to do. Let's log the temperature. No, we won't. Okay. And we'll go ahead and kill our lights. Let's scroll back out a little bit. We'll start up at 4 seconds, and that'll give us our burn. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and just keep time warping. Okay. Let's make sure that this is more of a personal preference of keeping the ship level to the horizon. Okay, and that is our, and we're only 1 degree off, which isn't bad. So, let's see here. How about we do a maneuver here near the apoapse. Oops, that's going to crash us right into the surface. 19. Okay. So let's turn our craft this way. Turning our craft. That should put us somewhere in the general ballpark. There it is. And we'll go ahead and time warp ourselves to that marker. And a minute 12, we'll say 37 is when should be nearing full throttle. Spin around and around, and there's our target. Go ahead and line ourselves back up with the marker, and in a few short seconds here we will be on our way. And in 3, 2, 1. And hopefully that'll put us on the correct path. And we've got quite a bit of fuel left, which is great. I always over-engineer the craft so it has plenty of fuel. Some people don't like that, but I think it's actually a good thing. Down here so I can see my timer a little better. Oops, went a little too far. And we'll make a quick minor correction. And one more, and that'll put us and we'll call that good. And when I come back, we'll be starting our approach on Mun. Okay, welcome back. Right now we have our encounter. I'm setting up for our burn to get us as close to the surface as we can without actually hitting it. 27. We'll call that good. Observe the material bay. We'll go ahead and keep that data. Can I get a temperature reading? That scan can't be done right now. Okay, well, let's go ahead and time warp ourselves a little bit. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and upright ourselves. We'll go ahead and start our time warp now. There we go. I don't remember, I think I've exhausted these ones for this area. Nope. I think I'll get more though as for a near encounter, not the high encounter that I'm at right now. But one thing I can do is I can rotate this. There we go. That way I can do an EVA. I can come down the ladder, grab the material bay. And we'll go ahead and time warp ourselves down. Nine seconds on each side, and we will have orbit. Orbit's a fresh mouth. Oh, that's something else. But as you can see now, I actually have a ladder system, sort of. It's not a pretty ladder system by any means, but it will do the job. And now we're back on the dark side of the planet. Or the moon, I think. Where's Kerbin blocking the sun again? Nope. Something's blocking the sun. So hopefully seven minutes. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'll come back when we're ready to start our landing.